Hello, my name is Charlie Wildish and welcome to this short course on training as we get older. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to cover in these few videos really applies to all age groups. Okay? Now, when we're young, we can get away with it. We can take the abuse, okay? Our body can take bad practices and heal itself and repair itself. As we get older, our bodies don't heal up so fast, and so it becomes more important that we do it right. One of my previous instructors sometimes used to say, youngsters should use the full dexterity of their bodies, older people should do it properly. Okay? Now, by that, youngsters use the full dexterity of their bodies. High kicks and things like that is great for them to stress their body. From a self-defense point of view, low kicks work much better. A kick to the knee joint or kick to the thigh or the groin. That is much more likely to be successful under pressure in a real life situation than a kick to the head. Okay? Kicks to the head look great, but the main parts that defend your body are your arms. And your arms are right close by your head. So trying to get head kicks for self-defense, yeah, that's great for youngsters to stress their body. It's not a good practice for self-defense. Okay, so older people should do it properly. Now, a lot of the Japanese masters, particularly in the karate world, a lot of them have had knee and hip operations. Okay, their technique is brilliant, but some of the training methods, or the extent to which they train, a lot of them have damaged their bodies, and it's something which is simply not talked about very much. Because their technique is so good, nobody questions them. Okay, but some of the things that have been taught and passed down, medical science has since proven that they are not all good practices. I mean, one of the more obvious ones is bunny hops. In the early days, a lot of bunny hops. Now we all know that that's bad for our knees and we don't do it. There are other things which I will be covering in this course. Now, we need to look more closely at correct alignments so that we don't put pressure on our joints. We also need to look at, as older people, we also need to look at what is a threat scenario. Because a threat scenario for us as an older person is not the same as a 20-year-old going down the pub. They are likely to meet a different type of violence to what we're likely to meet. So again, we need to look at what actually is our primary threat and how are we going to deal with it. Okay? We also need to look at being able to kind of create a whip-like impact, but how do we do that without kind of relying on strength and our physical prowess? Obviously, we lose some of our physical prowess as we get older, so we need to look at different ways of compensating for that, and how can we still carry on? Now, a lot of people will be thinking in terms of, how do I keep up with the youngsters? What I would say to you is, don't worry about keeping up with the youngsters. That's not important. We're at a different stage in our life than they are. We're facing different threats to what they're doing. And when it comes to kind of sparring in the club or whatever, well, we need to look at how to be a little bit more sneaky and clever rather than just relying on fitness, okay? As we get older, we lose some of our natural athletic ability. So to have a self-defense system based on athletic ability is always going to be limited. As we get older, we need to look at it from a different angle. Right, one of the main things we need to look at is, what actual threat do we face, okay, compared to youngsters? Now, before I answer that, I've got to explain there's two main types of violence, okay? I'm talking here about outside the household. I'm not talking about domestic violence because that's a different category altogether. But outside the household, there's two main types of violence that we'll come across. Social violence and asocial violence. Social violence is your barroom bully. That's like, who are you looking at? Yeah, come on, outside then. Now, they call it social violence because the bully wants an audience. He wants people to see he's the alpha male. He wants to kind of impress the ladies, okay? So that is social violence. They actually want witnesses, they want people around. Then there's asocial violence, and it's asocial because they don't want witnesses. They don't want people around. Now, what type of violence is that? Now, we're looking at muggers, rapists, serial killers, okay, people like that. So when it comes to social violence, the barroom bully, that is mainly young men in their teens, in their early 20s, looking to prove themselves, looking to establish their place in the their place in the pecking order amongst their peers. And one of the ways they do that is obviously by violence or by picking on somebody else. Now, there's a very, very low chance that older people in their 40s, 50s, 60s are going to become subject to social violence. Okay, the only way we're likely to get involved with that is if we see it happening and we try and go in and defend somebody. But generally, we are not likely to be subjected to social violence ourselves. Possible, there's no hard and fast, but generally it's not likely to happen to us. Social violence is also growing amongst girls as well, young women. Not the same extent as men, but it is growing. Now, on the other side, asocial violence, well, yes, that is where we are more likely to be attacked for a couple of reasons. One is, if you're a drug user and you're looking for a fix and you need to rob somebody to get the money for your fix, if you look around, now, if you see some big fit bloke in their 20s and you see someone who's maybe in our age group, and you think, who you're more likely to pick on, who you're more likely to think is going to be the easier target to scare and to frighten. So from that perspective, they're more likely to pick on an older person. The other thing is, an older person is normally a little bit more financially settled. We've been working all our lives, we're more likely to be financially settled, we're more likely to have money in our pockets. Excuse me. So we are more likely to come across a mugging than we are social violence. Now, stepping back from there, how do you deal with that kind of scenario? Well, the main thing actually is really just awareness of your surroundings. Okay, don't go down dark alleys when you go home. Okay, near me there's a cycle path with no lighting. Now, I normally walk my dog down there twice a day. When it comes winter and there's the early nights and it gets dark early, I will not walk my dog down that way at night. Now, I consider that I'm quite capable, and I consider that I can handle myself. But if I get into an altercation because I didn't take precautions, then there's a fail. Okay, it's not about being macho and being tough and I can keep up with the youngsters. No, if I go somewhere and put myself at unnecessary risk, then there's a fail in my self-protection system. Okay, so to look at self-protection, you've got to be all embracing not just your kicks and your punches, but your awareness and places you go, how you conduct yourself, where you're prepared to go, where you're not prepared to go. Okay, so like I say, awareness. You can make a little habit of looking into shop windows so you can see behind you without looking around. Okay, any reflective surfaces around you. Sometimes at night, if you're walking down the street, you pass a street light, you see your shadow pulling out in front of you. Now, what's the shadow? If another shadow starts appearing very close to you, again, you know someone's getting a little bit close for comfort. Pull into the side, put your back against the wall, and let them pass. Okay, so it's about being aware of your surroundings. Awareness will do a lot better when it comes to muggings than all the kicks and punches and throws and takedowns in the world. Okay, practice awareness. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please leave us a like and a comment below. It all helps with the YouTube algorithm and helps our ratings on YouTube. So thank you.